Hi everybody, how are you doing? Turn up your volume, come say hello. I wanted to talk about the astrology because there's a lot going on out there as always, and we're building to a full moon in Cancer that will be on January 1st of 2018. So if you look at the numerology of that, so we have 1, and then we have 2018, which adds up to 1-1. So it's a very important new time for us to walk into. And what we're really, with this full moon, what's really coming up, and probably you're starting to feel it a little bit today with the moon in Taurus, sensing into this idea of yourself and this new vision for yourself. You know, the blog post that I posted today is all about, it's all about we're the ones that we've been waiting for. And when I say we, I really mean you. I really mean I, because right now, this is going to be the wolf moon, and I always think of the lone wolf, and I think of we want to look to everyone else, and we want to look to our friends and to our community for support and for guidance and for hand-holding, especially with this Cancer energy that we're going to be feeling on Monday. It's really wanting, you nurture people, and you want to nurture people, but you also want to be nurtured. But really what's coming up with it, all the crazy Capricorn energy that we have. So we have the Sun in Capricorn, we have Venus in Capricorn, we have Pluto in Capricorn, we have Saturn, if I didn't already say that, in Capricorn, we have Eros in Capricorn, and we have Black Moon Lilith in Capricorn. That's a lot of Capricorn energy. That's the polar opposite of the Cancer energy. And so because of that, this might be a time where you, even if you're around people, you might feel just a little bit lonely. And this is really a time that you're going to have to, we're all being asked to stand on our own 2 feet. We come into this world alone and we leave alone. And it is with that that we get the strength to be able to participate in community and to be kind of a shining beacon in community. So if we're looking to everyone else for approval, we're not really going to be able to move forward. And so what this reminds me of, and what this brings me back to, this polarity of Capricorn and Cancer, is this idea of our programming and our conditioning from our parents. Because we think of Cancer as being the mother and Capricorn as being the father, even though that's not having to do anything with genders. Capricorn is a feminine sign. It's an earth sign, but it's stern, it is strong, and it has this like backbone. So when you step out of line, a Capricorn will always tell you, and sometimes rather coldly, that you have stepped out of line. And so we all need that check-in, we all need that structure and that sturdiness. And so because of that, we think of that as being like the father energy, because it is nurturing still. It's just not maybe in the way that you want to be nurtured. And so as Capricorn being the father or the parent, we often see it as, Cancer is often the mother, but also the inner mother. And so how you can find your own sense of peace, how you can find your own sense of home and nurturing for yourself. Cancer can want to kind of crawl into their shell and hide away. And it's interesting because we tend to think of the holiday of New Year's as being kind of an outer thing. You go out in the community, maybe you go out, or maybe you don't go out, but you go out to breakfast in the morning with friends or something like that. But this might be a time where you're feeling this extra pull to just be home and to be clearing out clutter, clearing out things that keep you stuck. And so this is a really great time for it, leading up to this time. It's not a great time to, with this full moon, get yourself into communication with your parents. Don't do it. Get yourself into communication of things that don't need to be talked about with your the close people around you, of things that aren't working. Like, just wait, hold off, maybe do some writing or do some clarity making for yourself. If things need to be discussed, just have that frame of reference that the full moon is building, and when that happens, we can lose our temper. We can let things out that don't necessarily need to be out at a person if we take the time to have that inner awareness. especially when Pluto's involved. Pluto is the unearthing, and it is conjunct the sun with this full moon, and Venus is how we give and receive love and energy. And so both of those planets, the unearthing of this, like sometimes it's, it's like the darker, it's like the shadow energy, this unearthing, it's not always bad, because when we unearth our shadow, we shine the light on it and it disappears, right? But we don't want to get ourselves into interactions with others, especially in work environments, partnership, and with parents, or with the law. But I don't see you guys running out and doing anything crazy with the law, but if you do, be careful, because this might be a time where you get caught. So this is a time for you to really just have that awareness of these issues and the polarity of the mother and the father, the self-nurturing, the intuition, wanting to come to the surface, and that critical part of you that wants to shut it down and wants to say that there's a better way and that you should do it a certain way and you should be more hard on yourself. And so, there's value in both, and it's remembering that. There's value in tapping into your intuition and making time for that, and there's also value in the doing and the getting things done and having small goals set. This is not a great time to make a huge list of all your goals for 2018. This is a time for you to get really clear about what conditioning and what belief system has held you back from reaching those goals in the past. So looking to 2017 and what came up for you then, and where did you really get hard on yourself? Where did you talk yourself out of making certain kind of brave decisions of putting yourself out there because of this internal dialogue around self-judgment, self-criticism, thinking that your parents wouldn't approve. I recently, what's coming up with clients a lot is this with the Capricorn and Saturn in Capricorn is not even necessarily it being true, but thinking that your parents or thinking that the people in your life that you look to for approval are going to judge you if you're doing XYZ. And that's an illusion that we've created. Sometimes, sure, it might be true, but it's more likely that it's been created by your shadow to keep you safe and restricted. Okay, so it's an important time to look at those things. The other interesting thing is, we have Mars and Jupiter in Scorpio, and so it's still like just expanding on the Scorpio theme. So a lot of sexual stuff is coming up for people right now, looking at things that maybe you thought were wrong or you judged about yourself, about things that you were interested in or people you were interested in, and then the Mars is moving forward. And so I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to make some choices that are going to move you towards things that are taboo, but what I'm saying is this might be a really great time of processing and letting things come to the surface of, oh, so-and-so would judge me if I posted this picture. And again, like, obviously that's a dumb example, because if posting a picture is such a trivial thing, but it gives you a frame of reference of the self-criticism, the self-judgment around what really makes you happy. If it really makes you happy to post a picture, right? But let's try and use a real world example, because I hate using social media. But is social media real now? I guess that is where we live. We're all on social media all the time now. Okay, well, let's say like this. So you want to wear a certain dress to a family gathering, but it shows cleavage, and you're like, I really love this dress, but it shows my cleavage, and my family's gonna be there, and I just don't think it's appropriate. And that's fine. You can have that, and you can work with that. But if it's something that you really want to do, and the judgment is coming from feeling like you're going to be judged by others, that probably is just yourself coming up with that, right? So looking at those things, they're definitely going to be expanded upon during this time period. And I wanted to read one thing really quickly. This is for the degree. Okay, so this is the other interesting thing. So we have this full moon on 1/1, and the numbers of 2018 add up to 11, which, by the way, is a mastery number. So it's a really exciting year. I'm really excited about 2018. If you don't already know, I'm doing an amazing class tomorrow that is about planning 2018. I just was saying, setting goals, but this is a planning based on the astrology, based on the astro-intuitive guidance that I have around when are good times to act, when are good times to not act, and do more planning and more settling in. So definitely, if you're interested in that class, message me. But okay, back to this. So 1/1 and then 1/1, And then the number that, the degrees that this full moon is in is 11 degrees of Cancer, 11 degrees of Capricorn. So if that's not enough 11-11 energy for you, if 1-1 energy for you, it's all there, and it's all just like this we still have this galactic center that's, part of what's going on with us, and Mercury's still going to be coming across that galactic center, helping us to bring in and bring more consciousness to this really open, expansive energy that's out there for us. But first, this is what's got to happen, okay? So this sounds really negative. I'm just going to warn you, but it's really helpful because it's already there. It's already coming up for people, and to deny it is just silly. For me to just be like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. No, it's going to be hard, and this is going to be a hard full moon for a lot of people. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not good, right? There's good things coming out of it. Here we go. So this is from, I love Elias Longsdale. So this is the degree that Cancer is in, the moon, our emotion, our emotional center, where our emotional clock is dialed to. So you always want to look to where 11 degrees of Cancer falls for you. You can also look to where 11 degrees of Capricorn falls for you to get more insight into this, okay? In your chart, I'm talking about your birth chart, okay? So self-doubt, self-negation, self-sabotage, excruciatingly self-conscious. The glare of the spotlight falls upon chronic unconscious syndromes. Okay, I'm going to read that again. The glare of the spotlight falls upon chronic unconscious syndromes. Places where hiding and massive dysfunction seems to be the only security and safety. Yet in the end, being stopped by little shadow dwellers just becomes too painful for you to rationalize any further. And the freakish syndromes you tried so hard to pawn off on everything else comes back home to be uprooted with deep, sober will. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. If that just didn't totally resonate with you, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you're doing well. But for many more of us, we're just really experiencing a lot of self-doubt and wanting to be acknowledged, wanting to be honored and held by our community a little bit more, right? But in order to do that, we have to look at our own shadow. We have to look at wanting to hide in the community so that we feel safer, right? Wanting that community around us as a barrier, as a boundary, so that we don't get hurt by ourselves, right? And that's not how life is. So really what this time is about is uprooting, looking at, so that's all Scorpio, looking at this, like the depths of these things, Scorpio, Pluto, this energy is infused into this full moon. And with that, I will say, just whenever that is the case, be aware of your surroundings when you're out in public. There are going to be some weird people and weird things happening around this New Year's Eve, okay? So things are going to, if you give yourself the time to just be alone, that's the best, right? So if you can just uproot, look at, write, get clarity, do a lot of like just brain dumping around where you've been afraid to be yourself, where you've been wanting to, yes, yay. So that's great. So like possibly I forget what your signs are, and I'm sorry, Louise, but it's great if you're feeling like, so what Louise was saying is that she feels like she's been in a long period of self-doubt, and now you're feeling more empowered than ever. So it's maybe confusing to you because you're like, I think I'm already there. Is that right? Let me know if that's right. But yeah, so this time period is really about really getting to the root of things, uprooting them, and not trying to hide them anymore. And so by doing that, you're bringing them to the light and they can be dissolved. But if we don't take the time to bring them to the light, if we just want to be like, oh no, everything's fine, I'm just going to keep going, and we're just going to keep doing our thing, and kind of just have the unconsciousness around where you're being asked to not need the approval of the parents, where you're not needing to have the approval of your community, then if you're not taking the time to do that, then it's gonna just set you back a little bit in terms of moving forward in the new year, okay? So let's see. Yeah, just taking some time to look at past wounds, what you're ready to release around your ideals of perfectionism, around your ideals of let me just get back to like chart here, with the sun in our ego, in this kind of Capricorn can be kind of cold place. And then we think of Cancer as being super warm, super nurturing, super intuitive. So letting that inner emotional piece really guide the way towards bringing you more self-love and nourishment. Instead of what Cancers can be. Oh, that's okay. You're hilarious. I love it. We'll just talk later. Louise. No problem. So, yeah, so we're setting our own internal dial to just really checking in with ourselves. And in Cancer, can have that thing of like wanting to hide in its shell, wanting to really be protective of itself, which can be good. And then what I'd say, like using that energy to really create space for your own inner discipline to come through, and your own actualization of what needs to happen for you. So going through the houses and looking at for Cancer, what is the cusp ruler for the house that, where Cancer is for you. So let's say you have Cancer in the 11th house. You're going to want to think of those themes when you think of the full moon. So Louise, this might help you too, is that you, it depends what house Cancer's in for you and what house Capricorn's in for you. So if you look to that house, you can have more clarity about what might be coming up for you. And I do on my YouTube channel, I'm such a slacker, you guys, but I'm all the way to the 4th house. So I'm trying to do a house by house, just really general basics, so that you can look in, when we know the moon is in that house, you can look to the YouTube channel and you can say, okay, I know that the moon's in my 4th house, so I'm gonna watch this 4th house video. And I know that the moon, from what Abby said, is about my emotional state, my inner emotional state. So let's say back to Cancer in the 11th house, if you had Cancer in the 11th house, you're wanting to look at your emotions around community, and the 11th house is community. It's also like how you have to just be like a rebel and do your thing. And it can also be around just anything where you have to kind of cut your ties just to feel more freedom and to feel more sense of not guilt or obligation or things like that. So so then if the moon is there for the full moon, you're going to want to look to those themes and figure out what needs to be cleared, what needs to be purged, what needs to be uprooted, so that you can clear it out around your beliefs around that. And then what do you want to fill it in with? Like I always talk about in the individualized work that I do, you never want to clear something without filling it in. And so you always want to fill it in. What do you want to fill it in with? And then creating some mantras, creating some affirmations around what you're filling it in with, so that you feel more goodness and peace. Okay, so I'm happy to answer any questions. You can post them here. Also, again, my class is tomorrow. You want to take it. So if you haven't already registered, there is a link. The easiest way is there's a direct link right on my Instagram if you follow me on Instagram. Other way is to just message me and I can add you in. The other thing, this is like, really special deal that I'm doing. I'm gonna do half off. I'm like, but if you are watching this, I'm doing half off of astrological chart reading for doing a 2018 projection. So it is a full chart reading. We do definitely the birth chart, but we're focusing on 2018 and how to get the most out of it. I'm doing half off, and it's just going to be this Saturday. So if you have availability this Saturday and you want to try and get in, it's going to be through distance work, and you can just schedule a chart reading, and yeah, that's that. Or you can message me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be in touch more. Again, like the clarity piece, I feel like I'll probably come back on and pop on a little bit more closer to the full moon, because I feel like there's always more to say. But please post your questions here. All right, bye guys.